Hello, Curtis.
What up?
How are you?
Can't complain. I don't
I heard
think.
a
How about
rumor that
you?
you're tired today. That you're a little tired.
I'm trying to bring the energy though. I'm gonna try to bring the energy.
Yeah.
I'm feeling I'm feeling old man and grumpy today.
I love it. I mean, you're normally the naysayer. I mean, you're normally the pessimist. You're normally the yin, or the yin is you're the yang to my yin. I don't know. What are you?
I'm the yin to your yang or yang to your yin. I don't know.
Is it yin or yin?
Mm.
I don't know. Neither one of us are qualified to make this determination. I don't think. Well,
I'm
it's great to
not.
see you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Too
we'll figure this out energy wise. Episode 13.
Nice. Well, maybe that's why I'm feeling grumpy.
Ooh,
It's
right.
a unlucky number
Hmm.
if you're a young teenage person in a horror movie.
Right. Where you walk
Hmm.
backwards and yes.
Yeah.
Um, well, we'll get through this together. I think this is going to be a slightly abbreviated version, only because I have a hard stop at half past.
Well, let's
Um,
do it.
yeah. So a funny thing happened after our last episode, which is our marketing person extraordinaire. Well, Clark, who was our producer, creates all these shorts, reels, and so forth for social, and then Julia creates those posts on social media. And so, one of the reels that you and I had an exchange about the ownership of Claude Code. In my case, it was Claude Code. Kind of went a little viral. Um,
It did. Maybe we gave it some infactual information, non-factual information. I have no idea.
yeah, I
I don't think
think
it was wrong necessarily, but it did live up to the geekiness that a lot of the geeks expected to.
it
I
certainly
think
sparked a debate within our
it did.
commentary.
It did.
Um, I think it was me, since I was the one doing the talking. It was referred to as a boomer, which I do take personally. Everything else that
Man,
was said was actually true.
I didn't read the comments. They called you a boomer. Ah, that's rough.
Yeah, I was called a boomer, which I may have been acting like one in the real, but I'm not a boomer by a good 15 years minimum. I think, as far as the generational, barriers go.
Yeah, I think it's with the slang though. I don't know. The young kids when they say boomer, they mean anyone over like 40. Do they not?
Apparently, and
Yeah.
I certainly appear to be over 40.
Mm.
The premise, which I don't really want to relive this because there's no reason to go back down this road, but the premise was, or was how this reel got to be 156 like views, 1,000 views, 156,000 views, was over our commentary about that you don't own vibe coded code. Like, personally, if I built an app, then I wouldn't own the code
Yeah.
behind. Which, now that I've said that, I think there's a gray area within, copyright law about exactly whether that's true or not true.
Yeah, possibly. I don't think you generally copyright code. You could put code on GitHub, sorry, like an MIT license or stuff. But I don't think you generally copyright code. Um,
Right.
Maybe these giant companies do, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, I wasn't saying that I knew the answer to
yeah,
that. I Googled it right before the said, like, "Hey, if I build something amazing and Claude does it, do I own the code?" And the answer was, not necessarily.
Hmm. Did you ask
Um,
Claude or did you ask ChatGPT?
I asked, the Google,
Oh, the Google. I see. I was
which,
wondering if Claude was just like, no, I own it. It's mine.
exactly, right. No,
Yeah.
yeah. No, which we got quite a response from that, which is, great. Um, the good part was that I didn't say something completely factual. I said something that was a little controversial, which I'd take that.
Yeah. Worked out well.
Um Well, I have a subject to bring to you today. I'm still on the vibe coding topic,
Okay.
and I know you're a student of history. You talk about it all the time, how much you love history. Um,
Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, yeah.
and I've come up with a little analogy here that I need you to marinate on a little bit. Are you familiar with the term Luddite? Are you familiar with that?
I am. Yeah.
So, do you know who the Luddites were and how we come to have that term in our popular zeitgeist?
They were a group of folk against some sort of technology back in the day. I want to say it was like the printing press. Just that I could be wrong about that actual aspect of it. Dead set against it. Scribes were all they needed, possibly.
Right.
Yeah,
And now we know the term Luddite to mean like someone who is kind of a not really big into the future, doesn't
yeah.
really want to see technology, right?
Anti-technology is how I like to describe them. Luddite.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
doing a little research before for this episode, most of that is true, meaning that yes, it was a group of people. Yes, they were anti-technology, but the original Luddite term came from the loom industry, the weaving industry,
sure.
and this was in three, I guess, areas of England: Lancastershire, Yorkshire, and the other one that I've now Nottinghamshire. Big trouble in the shires at the turn of the 19th century, and so these folks were as the machinery gets rolled out, they were roaming around towns destroying looms. And
Okay.
one would assume it was because they're taking our jobs, kind of a
Yeah.
vibe, and I think that was certainly part of it. And it was also that the people who were being hired to run these looms were children, and low low skill workers. But what I've learned is primarily this was about the shoddy work that these looms were producing. So it's flooding the market with low quality woolen socks, etc.
Interesting.
And so now we have this. Let's go back to Claude and the fact that we have I think a wave of a generation of developers who are looking at vibe coding and thinking that the vibe and vibe coding is not going to be there much longer, that we now have development that's taking place that's going to replace a lot of time and maybe even a lot of jobs. There's human oversight attached to this, but now I see the parallels between someone who may not be too happy with a Claude Code um, legitimacy when they're consider themselves craftsmen.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. Um, Man, it's super interesting.
Because historically I think what AI is probably would be on par with the steam engine, or you know the widespread adoption of electricity and so forth. I think we're at that inflection point, and we're just at the very beginning of it. And so, as someone who is a developer, someone who grew up, kind of a code guy, I mean, what's your overlapping history? What's your take on what we're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always of the opinion, I think, at least currently, I mean, to have a successful product vibe coded, you have to have a software engineering background because, you still have to plan the product correctly, and a software engineer can do that. Whether that'll be the case in the future or not, I mean, I don't know. If you have all these people who are much smarter than I am that are saying coding is solved, right? Like coding's, no longer a human function. It's something that computers can do for us, and they could be right. And where are we going to be in the future? I don't know. It's probably going to create some sort of job that we haven't even thought of yet. That'll manage, 30 different AI tools coding a program at one point. I have no idea. It's very interesting though. I mean, I think in this case, I want to be a Luddite when it comes to AI, which is sad because I'm building an AI product, obviously. But I am, yeah, I don't know. Vibe coding is really awesome to get like an MVP spun up and everything, I feel. And it lets people who aren't in software engineering kind of experience what coding is like. And I say that with air quotes because it's not at all like coding. But at least they can build a product and get their ideas out there, which is super cool, right? Um, a lot of startups fail because they're just an idea and they can't actually execute on anything. So this maybe help bridge that gap a little bit. Um, but I'm still hoping we'll need software engineers in the future.
Well, to go back to the Weaver problem and the early 1800s when people were really sensitive to what was happening in mass production. Mass production became a thing. but
Yeah.
England was gigantic and textiles, that was like, their primary, among the primary exports. And so you have lots and lots of people who are going to factories every day, and suddenly that person would describe themselves as a weaver. Well, the person who was, on a out in a rural community and knitting, wool from their sheep in the backyard would certainly not say that that was a weaver. They would say that they were something else.
Right.
And there's a craftsman aspect to, I think every developer thinks would consider themselves highly skilled, especially experienced. And I think you would qualify as that, having built, Voice Flip from the ground up. But then to imagine that there's somebody, maybe not even some young person, but maybe anybody out there who's building a prototype for something similar, um, you know, in your experience looking at Claude Code, is there a world of difference between what you could sit down and create in a week versus what someone could sit down and create in an hour?
Yeah. I mean, the code, in theory, the code that I write myself manually will be much nicer, less, spaghetti oriented, let's say. Um, but in the end, does it actually matter? Um, you know, if I build a crappy piece of clothing, you can tell, right? If I knit a crappy piece of clothing, I wear it and it's like got all holes in it and shit. That matters. But the piece of software, as long as it runs and it functions properly, doesn't matter how many different layers are on top of it until you're at scale. Um, end user's not really going to care. And in this day and age, I think people are just throwing more and more hardware at the problem. So if things start to bottleneck at scale, you just throw more hardware at it, and hoping it fixes it. Um, and that could be good enough, going forward. They're building all these massive data centers everywhere. Maybe that is the future. Just burn a ton of power, burn a ton of energy, waste a ton of water to get someone's grocery shopping list going.
Well, like we said, what, 2 episodes ago, building the infrastructure seems like we're building a bunch of railroad tracks before we even invented the steam engine kind of a
Yeah.
thing. And so we're building on possibility. That seems to be, um, a reasonable approach. But going back to what you said a second ago, does nice code equate to functional, durable, bug-proof? And it does and I'm asking, like, this is not rhetorical, does Claude put out messy, brittle, bug-riddled code by to use the Luddite,
Yeah.
platform, if I use a loom and some, 9-year-old is operating that thing, is it gonna make shitty socks versus the person who's out in the country, been doing it for 50 years can make something that's much more high quality?
Yeah, I would say yes. Currently. I mean, it does good code. And if you go through multiple revisions, the code will be better and better and better. But as you would with a regular software engineer, um, but it tends to throw everything at it. It'll be, what's the terminology? Like using a sledgehammer to crack a walnut as opposed to a, nutcracker, right? It tries
Yeah,
to throw everything at it. Both the same, same effect. But one tool is made for it, one's not. So Claude and Codex and all these other coding tools, they don't plan very well. And I may get some pushback on this online, but they don't plan very well. They throw a whole bunch of unnecessary functions and code into it to get it to work. Um, while I feel like a really good human developer tries to do elegant code. So it has low resource usage as possible, I guess. Right. And at least that's what I code. I want to use as little resources as possible, make my code good and efficient. I
yeah.
don't think Claude has that same uh, mentality.
So from a like a product standpoint, I think we started this conversation last episode with me just saying, "Hey, I had an idea over the weekend. I used Claude. I just described what I wanted to build, and within 3 or 4 prompts, Claude had suggested it was gonna be, in JavaScript and so forth, and started like, window opens over here on the right, and it starts just like compiling. And I have no idea what's going on over there,
Yeah.
but I'm like, "Oh my god, are we doing this?" And so I'm curious, from your perspective, it seems like someone like me knowing my limitations could be, let's get to prototype phase. But it's very tempting to think, well, okay, if I just, house this someplace, we got ourselves and there isn't a road sign, at some point in, at least in my experience, it says, warning, Claude Code is blah, blah, blah. This needs to be handled by someone. You know what I mean? Um, is that a missing piece? Are we? Is it the Wild West? Is the Wild West good because we're capitalists and we want all ideas to be thrown at the wall to see what sticks, or is this not good?
I don't think the wild. I mean, I don't think the Wild West is great. I think some government oversight and some oversight is fantastic. I think human oversight is good on anything that AI produces because AI does hallucinate, no matter which AI it is. That I find it will hallucinate, especially code. I was using Codex the other day to try to build something, and it was hallucinating all over the place. I was like, no, man, I was like, Codex, that is not going to work. What you're suggesting is pure garbage. It's like, oh yeah, thank you for noticing that. Blah blah blah. Um, but I mean, it will change, right? It's like this is like vibe coding is what, like 2 years old now, possibly.
Yeah.
It's a very new technology, and it's come so far in 2 years. What's going to happen in the next 2 years? It's very possible that software engineers won't be needed. You could probably just type a prompt into some um, large language model, large coding model at that point, and have a product built. Um,
So,
Hopefully not, because our
well,
business.
that's exactly where I was hoping we would take this. Is it like, so a code monkey who sits down and in an afternoon is going to write 600 lines of code and come up with something that would be a prototype and potentially something you'd want to show to somebody product wise.
Yeah,
And you do this all the time. Is the artistry behind coding going to be more prompt based and less code based?
it seems that way right now. Yeah, or idea based. How big can you think? Maybe, um, then go from there. Right.
Yeah.
All the if it keeps going the way it is, all the small problems we deal with on a daily basis will be solved. And it'll be like the people who think really large and can actually like work on a project with Claude or Codex, whatever, for a long time to solve these giant issues. Uh, they'll be the ones doing it.
Yeah. So I read this morning that Anthropic said that 80% of their code was being written, by AI
Yeah,
now, but they hadn't
yeah,
laid anybody off.
yeah.
Um,
And they keep hiring more software engineers. So
yeah. So what does that say? What does that tell you?
that it's being written by AI, but it's being managed by a software engineer. I mean, you know,
Is that's the
um,
model apparently,
that is the
right?
model. You treat your Claude Code like it's a junior, and it's just writing shit code for you. And you review the code, and you say, "Yeah, that PR looks good. That PR looks fine. That PR looks fine. Hey, you may want to change this." And it goes and changes it, and you commit the PR. I think that's what they're doing. I haven't looked into it too much, but um, with the amount of hiring and doing, if 80% of their code is being written by AI, then it has to be what's happening.
Yeah. So there's a there's a textile factory somewhere in downtown London, and there's a bunch of children on the floor with their looms,
Yep,
but there's 7 or 8, old school, crusty weaving people who are looking over everybody's shoulder to make sure that everything is coming out the way it should.
exactly. Yeah, hitting the children with a switch, to make sure they
Please,
do it properly.
may I have some more?
Yeah.
Um, all right.
Uh,
I mean, I think after our conversation and I went back to look at what I had done, I got very excited about being able to produce something in a way that I had never that it, previously it had been a very awkward conversation between me and someone who was a dev. And
yeah,
the disconnect between those two things, someone who is well versed in what the customer wants, I think this could be a thing. Talking to someone who doesn't even think on that level and is more of a machinist in this
yeah,
case. To bridge that gap, I think is important, but I think that the tool is too wide ranging. The tool, at least the one that I was using, was far too um, unwieldy and narrow, too broad in scope. And had I shown that to you, me being serious, you would have laughed me out of the Zoom call.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but maybe. I mean, if the idea was good, and I don't know, for an MVP, right? Again, if you're just building an MVP,
But
who
like we said
knows?
last time, I think the answer to that would be I bring something that would be conceptual.
Yeah,
And really what Claude did was create a working demo. And then you would take that from concept, you would probably scrap everything that I had done and start over again.
yeah. I mean, possibly, but I mean, you got to figure back like 2 years ago to get that working demo could have been a 3 to 4 month process.
Oh my God. And super
So
expensive.
it's
So
super
much so
expensive.
you would have stopped.
Yeah,
You would have given up.
yeah,
Um, yeah, all right.
yeah.
Um, So what's new with you? Any news that you feel good about? I just
Man,
a
you know
little
what's been pissing me off lately? Because I'm grumpy today. I'm gonna go
sure.
there.
Yeah, go on.
For some reason, the algorithm, the algorithm out there has decided that I'm like a 70 to 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
And the reason I say this is because no matter what platform I'm on, no matter what device I'm on, I get so many AI generated videos about old men, like ads about old men doing Tai Chi and how Tai Chi is going to change my life. Or if I just do like it's all AI generated, like super buff dudes
Yeah.
doing Tai Chi in the park. And they're all like 70, 80 years old. Um, so it's been AI generated videos of supplements I can take and AI generated videos of like doing plank and other calisthenics, which I think old people used to do back in the day. Um, so I don't know what I did to convince everyone who runs these companies that I'm like an 80-year-old man. Um, and I can't figure out how to reverse it. I've been searching like cool hoodies for young dudes just to try to like reverse it. It's not working. And it's driving me absolutely nuts everywhere. I can't even get into my car. I'm listening to Spotify. It's like, have you done Tai Chi? I'm like, fucking,
I
anyways.
have a theory. I think I know
Okay.
the answer.
All
You
right,
just
go.
had a birthday.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not an old man. You're also not a young man.
Yeah.
And so I think the algorithm knows that it was your birthday.
Okay.
And that
And it's just
as you
assuming I'm like 30 years older than I actually am.
I don't think it's the age. I think it's the mentality. I think the algorithm is anticipating like first of the year after New Year's, everybody goes to the gym. It's just
Okay.
like, it's just like date on the calendar when we feel like we should probably get our lives together. you
Yeah.
know, maybe I'm not saying maybe I'm committing to this. I'm committed that
Okay.
that the algorithm knows that you just had a birthday and that you're considering your own health. Bingo. That's it.
Okay. All right. That, I'm okay with that. I think I'm just insulted that it can't do like AI generated 45-year-old guys. It's got to do like 80-year-old men.
Is it specifically, you said Tai Chi a few times. Like, is it
There's a
specific?
lot of Tai Chi. Like I'll be scrolling Reddit, I'll be on YouTube, I'll be in my car, listen to Spotify, driving somewhere, and it's be like, hey, have you done Tai Chi? And Tai Chi is proven to reverse your aging. And I'm like, get out of here. And then supplements. It's like, hey, you probably need Viagra, Cialis, all this other
Oh,
crap.
those
Um,
kind of supplements. We're not
I
talking
mean,
about
like, I don't, but I feel like it's not something I've looked up. It's like, hey, I mean, maybe my wife has, who knows? Um, but either way, it's driving me nuts. It's
yeah,
driving me nuts.
that's really
Yeah.
funny. I'm just thinking of like patterns that I have seen in my own algorithm behavior, similar stuff. And it takes you a while
Hmm.
to get that out of the
I need like a cleanse. You know how like people do juice cleanses or whatever the hell it is?
algorithm cleanse.
Yeah, I need to do a juice cleanse for my online profile, apparently.
I mean, I think if you just search for random stuff and just talk to your phone,
I
like,
have been. I have been.
that is really freaking hilarious and
I
awesome.
know. I'm throwing the like random shit out there. I'm like, find me some Taylor Swift fan club. So it thinks I'm like
Anything.
14-year-old girl. It's just like completely
Yeah.
the other opposite direction. It hasn't worked. It's just convinced I'm an old ass man. And it's been like 2 months. This part that drives me insane. It's been
I'm looking
forever.
forward to is that ultimately you can't resist the Borg. Ultimately, the Borg is going to
I know.
take you. What I can't wait for is that like you're going to show up to episode like 17 in like this old Asian man, like whatever the Tai Chi outfit is, and you're just going to
Yeah.
be
100%. I'll be doing Tai Chi while we're doing the episode. Next conference, I'll probably be outside doing Tai Chi in the lawn with
sure, right
like,
at 4 o'clock in the morning.
yeah, myself and Steve Bird out front.
Oh, I love it. I could see. Wow, I could see Steve Bird. You and
Yeah.
Steve Bird, Rich Ritten, doing Tai Chi together.
Uh,
Um, yeah, I brought nothing to compare with that. But you win. You win
sorry. Yeah.
the
It's been
closing out
annoying
of
me
it.
all week. It's like really hit home this week. I don't know why. Uh,
I'd hate to ask you this, but I'm super intrigued. When you see another one, would you screen capture that and shoot it over to me? I think that's highly entertaining.
yeah. Yeah. I was trying to find one. Um, but it's ads on YouTube, right? So like when I open up YouTube, it plays for a couple seconds and then it disappears. But next
Yeah.
time I will. Yeah, it's always the same AI generated dudes. They're two buff guys talking about it. The interaction's all like very super AI and like really rigid. Um, you
Yeah.
know, but it's always different ads. They're like never in the same park. They're never in the same cafe doing lunges or whatever the fuck they're doing. It's always somewhere else. It's always somewhere different. It's always a different ad, and I feel like they're being generated specifically for me.
God, I love this.
Some poor town in Georgia is being destroyed by a data center just to generate me fucking shitty ads about Tai Chi. So,
Uh,
anyways,
that is
that's
such a great way to end episode 13 of Under the Hoodie. Uh, Thanks so much. You brought the energy. You
I
started
brought,
low, you ended high.
yeah, just the grumpiness. That's all. It's pure grumpiness.
Look,
So,
like
yeah,
every Tai Chi workout, you start really slow and then the intensity builds, the intensity builds. Next thing you know, you break a sweat and all you've been doing is
that's true.
waxing on and waxing off. All right.
Yin yang, baby.
Great to see you again. Thanks a bunch.
Yeah, man.
See you in episode 14, whenever that takes place.
Cool. Thanks, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.